Yo guys, welcome back on the channel. Transfer window is closed, but is it ever really closed? So today we're going to talk about the position that we all know Inter needs to invest in for the now and for the future, the centre-back position, where even Beppe Marotta did admit before the Udinese game a couple of weeks back that they were looking for players in the defense. He knows that the players in that position, i.e. Acerbi, the right, a little bit dated or older, but it's a problem that they've decided to address later rather than now because they still feel confident in these players. Whether that's true or not, or whether that was because they just didn't want to spend the money, that we don't know about. But what we do know is for sure they know they need to invest in that position because in the summer, Cherby, De Vrij, both of their contracts expire at the same time. So either both of them go or one of them is renewed, but there's surely going to be a renewal at the back, just like there was in the attack this summer when Correa and Arnautovic have left. So the rumors have already started heating up on the centre-back targets for Inter, whether that's in January, but more likely, I think, in the summer of 2026. Before we get into it, make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into it straight away. Number one, or he is not the number one target, but this is the first rumor that I saw the other day from Tutto Sport. So not the greatest source, but there's a new name that Inter are looking at from Wolfsburg, a 21-year-old Greek centre-back called Konstantinos Koulierakis, who is valued around 25 million euros by Wolfsburg. They signed him the season before this from PAOK Salonika for around 12 million euros. And he's a left-footed 1 meter 88 centre-back who apparently has been doing pretty well for Wolfsburg, but he has been also doing very well for the Greek national team, who have been putting out some interesting talents over the last few years, if you're not paying attention. I haven't watched any of Wolfsburg game or Koulierakis games here. Koulierakis, sorry. And the clips I've seen him, he looks like a very aggressive centre-back. But yeah, need to do some more research on this. But this is the point of this video, putting these names out there so you guys, if you end up watching a Bundesliga match this season, maybe you just tune into a Wolfsburg game to check this guy out, or a Greek national team game to check this guy out. Can't offer my opinion yet on this guy for now. The other name that has been hotting up recently, and this comes from a much better source than Tutto Sport, Matteo Moretto, who says Inter are very interested in Club Brugge defender Joel Ordonez, and they have been in talks for several weeks for a potential signing next summer. So if you're not familiar with him, I actually was looking at him when I was looking at, I've been recently watching, if you haven't followed my second channel, Instant Football, where I make little comps whilst I have the time at the moment. For Club Brugge, I was watching Alexander Stankovic, but I was also a little bit watching Ordonez because he has been touted as a big talent. And this Ecuadorian team at the back, they're also similar to, as I was talking about the Greek national talents. Ecuador, the other day, they beat Argentina. They're second in the qualifiers for the South American World Cup qualifiers in the big table. And at the back, they have a back line of Willian Pacho, so the PSG guy, Ordonez, and Hincapié, who now has gone to Arsenal. That's a fantastic trio of centre-backs to have. But yeah, Ordonez is a 21-year-old who is valued around similar to the Greek guy that we talked about earlier. Same exact height according to Transfermarkt, same exact age, 21 years of age. So you know the oak tree profile now, guys. We are familiar with the oak tree profile, right? But we also know Club Brugge. I think our Milanisti cousins know they are not an easy team to negotiate with, Club Brugge. So if it says 28 million here, it'll probably be more likely to be, I would say, the 35, 40 million euro mark if we see the recent history with the Yashari deals. But this is a profile that, as I said, I've only watched a few of those matches with Club Brugge, but he does look very good on the ball, very strong physically and athletic as well. So I do like this name, and he's got 10 caps for the Ecuadorian national team. And the third name at the moment is Dayot Upamecano, who needs a lot less introduction, right, guys? This was brought up by Fabrizio Romano recently. We also seen it in Italian media maybe a few weeks back. I remember talking about it with the Italian football podcast co-host Nima. I was teasing him because he doesn't like Upamecano, so I remember just singing the Upamecano, that song, just to annoy him, because he has got a bit of a reputation, doesn't he, Upamecano? Even though the funny thing is, he is the starter centre back for France. It's not Saliba, who is the Rolls Royce defender of the Premier League. It didn't used to be Konate, but he's kind of changed recently. He's come back in, but it's Upamecano plus someone for the France national team, whatever his reputation is in terms of having that bozo gene, having a mistake in him. Sometimes in big game, he's known to have a brain fart. But this sounds more like the typical Marotta move more than the oak tree type of move, which are they going to be allowed to make these types of moves? We'll have to see. But his contract is up for renewal at the end of 2026, so the end of next season. He will be a free agent. But of course, this also could be a potential way of his agent to try get Bayern Munich to, give him a contract renewal, get his salary up. So we don't know how true this is, but definitely an interesting profile for the especially as a centre back. I do see him in that position. As he gets older, as he grows more experienced, as he irons out his mistakes, as his athleticism starts to go down and he relies more on his defensive IQ. And he is very good on the ball as well, in the style of play that Christian Kivu may want to play if he stays. This is a profile that I like. He's only 26 at the moment, but by the time he would be a free agent, then he would be 27 or 28. Yeah, 27 he would be by next summer. Similar height to the other guys mentioned. Of course, much more experienced internationally, and of course, much more experienced in terms of top level football as well. But of course, he would command a much, much higher salary than the other guys. And this is the question, in terms of what do you guys think about these names? Of course, if you were keeping up with the names from last summer, none of them came true. Remember, towards the beginning of last season, it seemed to be all about Xhaka Bijol, the guy from Udinese, who I used to like. He had a fantastic Euros with the Slovenia. Then as I watched him for Udinese, I kept watching him, especially in the games against Inter or other big games against like Napoli and other etc. He was always failing the audition, to say, how Umar Solet has been passing the audition every time against Inter and in big games. And then Bijol now has ended up at Leeds. So, it kind of says that it was good that Inter didn't sign anyone just for the sake of it, which is what I felt like a lot of Interisti wanted Inter to do this summer. It's like Coppola, who is, he's a good player for Hellas Verona last year, fantastic season, but, is he going to be a starter at Brighton? Like, I think he might get there in the end, but I'm not feel like, if you sign a Coppola just because he's a young Italian centre-back, he would have come and replaced Acerbi. So in a way, I disagreed with Inter summer transfer window, especially with the lack of investment at the back, with missing out on Giovanni Leoni specifically. But in general, I was happy that we didn't just sign just a guy just for the sake of it. But the thing is, this makes next summer even more important that Inter get their centre-back investment right, because then it really is, there's that fullback isn't going to be there unless I can imagine they'll give De Vrij maybe an extra year to be the guiding hand, the helping hand for this new centre-back coming in. We could even end up being a Akanji, we end up moving a Akanji, making it permanent. He moves into the middle, and then we sign actually someone for the right centre-back position. Who knows? But definitely, this summer, we made our investments up front and in the wing-back position and centre midfield with Juve and Sucic. Akanji was one in, one out because of Pavard. So next summer or January, but most likely, as I said, next summer, it will be time to talk about the backline situation for sure. So you guys let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on these transfer rumors. The Greek guy, his name keeps escaping me. Koulierakis, Upamecano, Ordonez. But of course, we also got the usual names of Omar Solet, etc., that we were already linked with. But you guys know I'm a big fan of one name that we haven't been linked with is Ryan Flamingo. fantastic name from PSV Eindhoven. Again, I've not watched him too much, but the Champions League games I've seen him in, the way he man-marked Victor Gyökeres when he was at Sporting Lisbon, PSV versus Sporting, those two games, I was very, very impressed. The profile, I really like the price, the age, everything fits into the Oak Tree profile as well. So that's the name that I'm hoping that we get linked to. Just to close up, we've had some confirmations over the last day or so about Inter Manu Kone from, here is the Gazzetta report, but I've also read that even above Lookman, actually, the Lookman thing was more publicized because Inter came out publicly with it, and then Atalanta also came out publicly with it, and then the whole Lookman, thing, him almost basically going on strike. But actually, according to the reports, Manu Kone was actually the number one target, which shows that it doesn't seem like Inter were fully committed to this transition to a 3-4-2-1, probably. So Manu Kone was the big transfer target for Inter this summer, the one that they wanted, because Lookman was more of an opportunity, or they thought was an opportunity. In the end, it looks like Atalanta shafted themselves by not letting him leave. But Kone, according to Gazzetta here, remains as an Inter target for next year as well, because Roma, as we discussed, FFP, we know what it's like, financial fair play. They will have to sell players to comply, otherwise they're going to struggle. They could be Kone, maybe it could be someone else, but they're going to have to potentially have an opening to Manu Kone. But the problem is, of course, he keeps performing really well for Roma and the France national team, so his price is just going to keep going up. But we also have Henrik Mkhitaryan's contract expire. Actually, whilst we are here, I should have done this before, but when does Mkhitaryan's contract expire? Yeah, Mkhitaryan's contract expires this summer as well. So surely that is also a position to look at. Of course, you say, Suchik can step in, but there's also potentially room to still make that investment in the summer, depending on how things go for Inter in the Champions League, financially, etc. So something to keep an eye out for. But, I'm not really looking too much towards into this, because I don't think it's a very realistic opportunity. Let me see if there's anything else that we need to discuss today. No, that is about it. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments down below, as I said, on your thoughts on the center back position. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel as we build up to the Juve game. Keep a lookout on the channel. Ciao ragazzi, always, Forza Inter.